Ego went to open the door, but what she saw frightened her so much that she quickly jammed the door and started screaming for Obiora to come. When Obiora came out of the room, he asked her what the problem was, and she pointed to the door, looking lost like someone that had just seen a ghost. Obiora went to the door, and as he opened the door, his eyes opened wide in shock. He rubbed his eyes to be sure that he wasn't dreaming. That evening, when Obiora came back, he met his children, Adanna and Ejike, at the doorstep sleeping. He woke them up and asked them, "Where is your mother? Why are you sleeping at the doorstep?" Adanna told him, "When we came back from school, we did not meet anybody at home. We were tired and so we slept here." Obiora was confused. Oma went to deliver that huge contract since morning, but she was supposed to be back at this time. Anyway, maybe the meeting got long because of the huge money involved. She can take her time as long as she brings the money back home. So he shrugged off any fear and took his children inside, fed them and put them to sleep. He decided to wait for his wife in the sitting room, but he soon fell asleep on the couch. When he woke up the next morning, he was surprised to find out that Oma had still not returned. This is unlike her, he thought. His children came to ask where their mother was, and he told them that she went to help some women in the church and she would soon be back. He prepared them and sent them off to school. He then went and asked his neighbors if they had seen his wife yesterday. Anybody he asked replied no. He started to get afraid. He couldn't even reach her on the phone, as her line has been switched off since yesterday. He was confused and didn't know what to do. And to make the matters worse, he couldn't remember the address Oma showed him, as it was a strange place and he wasn't even interested in knowing the place. He wished he had showed interest, but this was not the time for wishes. This was the time for action. It was midday and he still had not heard from Oma, so he went to the police station to file a complaint. It's been more than 24 hours and so the police swung into action immediately. By evening, they called him and told him that they haven't found Oma, but he needed to come and identify something. When Obiora got to the station, they brought a woman's clothes to him. The cloth was torn and stained with blood. Obiora collected it with trembling hands. He recognized these clothes to be the same one Oma wore before leaving the house that morning. Obiora screamed, "No!" He saw his word crumble in his hands, and he squeezed the cloth tightly. The reality dawned on him. His precious wife is gone. How come? What happened? Where is her body? The officer told him that witnesses confirmed that she was thrown into the sea and her body is nowhere to be found. The only thing remaining is her clothes, which was to serve as a form of identification for her family. Obiora went home and wept like a baby. He thought of his children and the fact that they now have no mother. He blamed himself. He pushed Oma into wanting to do bigger businesses. If he had even followed her to the place, maybe this would not have happened. He was the cause of her death. He killed his own wife. Obiora was deeply shattered. Ego, having heard the news of Oma's death, came to the house to console Obiora. The children had gone to school, so Obiora was at home alone. Ego saw Obiora looking like his word had come to an end. She drew him to her bosom and consoled him. She prepared something for him to eat and put him to sleep. When Obiora's children came back from school, he was still sleeping, and so Ego opened the door for them. They asked her who she was, and she said that she was their father's friend, and she came to help them since their mother was dead. Adanna looked at Ejike, her brother, in confusion. She told Ego, "My mommy went to church. She will soon be back." Ego looked at them with amusement. Obiora has not told them, she thought to herself. She came forward and hugged them, saying, "I know this must be hard for you too, but what has happened has happened. Don't worry, I'll take care of you and make sure you don't miss your mommy too much." Adanna and Ejike looked at Ego and silently walked into their parents' room. They saw their father sleeping and woke him up. Ejike said with tears in his eyes, "Daddy, we saw one auntie in the sitting room. She told us that mommy is dead. Daddy, is it true?" Obiora was shocked. He didn't want them to know about this, at least not yet. Why did Ego have to tell them? He drew his children in his arms and started to cry. At that point, Adanna and Ejike knew that they had lost their mother for real. They cried in their father's embrace, and he consoled them until they fell asleep. Obiora then went to meet Ego and shouted at her for telling his children about their mother's death. Ego started to cry and said, "I didn't know you had not told them yet. I was just consoling them. I didn't mean to break their hearts." Obinna felt sorry for Ego and held her lovingly. After all, she came to help them. He shouldn't have shouted at her. She even helped him with the hard task of breaking the news to his children, which he didn't know how to do. He should be grateful to her. Ego stayed at Obiora's house, taking care of him and the children. Obiora had spent all the money he last collected from Oma, his dead wife. And because Ego was always asking for money, he had to sell off Oma's businesses to take care of Ego and his children. Ego was extravagant, and she believed that Obiora was very rich, so he had enough money to give to her. But the money Obiora realized from Oma's businesses lasted them only for a short while. And because Obinna was not investing or doing any business, he soon became broke. Ego, on the other hand, was lazy and only knew how to spend. So when the money finished, they started to have problems. Obiora expected Ego to be a hard-working woman by going out to work for the family, just like Oma did. His own mother also cared for their family when their father abandoned them. But he was disappointed and started to complain and compare Ego with Oma. He would tell Ego, "If Oma was still alive, she would never allow me or our children lack. But you are a lazy and good-for-nothing woman." Ego finally understood the fact that all the money she thought Obiora had was given to him by Oma. Obiora was just a poor and irresponsible husband all along, and Oma was just covering up for him. Ego wanted to run mad. She was so stupid to think that Obiora was a good catch. Anyway, since she was already here, she would frustrate him until he goes out and work for money, because she did not come to this life to suffer at all. Ego began to maltreat Obiora's children. She stopped them from going to school since there was no money to pay their school fees anyway. She would give them foodstuffs to go and hawk on the streets, and she would not give them food until they sold off everything and came back with her complete money. Obiora, on the other hand, tried to do different menial jobs, but he could not, as he was not used to them at all. Oma indulged him so much that he was so lazy and could not even last on any job. He was always jumping from one job to another, looking for the easiest one. When he returned home and asked Ego for food, she would insult him, telling him that there was no food for a lazy man. Obiora would descend on Ego and Ego would fight back. Anytime Obiora and Ego fought, Adanna and Ejike would lock themselves in their room and refuse to come out. This continued for several months, and then one fateful morning, the unexpected happened. Ego was waiting for Obiora to go out so that she could give the children some foodstuff to go and sell when she heard a knock on the door. Ego went to open the door, but what she saw frightened her so much that she quickly jammed the door and started screaming for Obiora to come. When Obiora came out of the room, he asked her what the problem was, and she pointed to the door, looking lost like someone that had just seen a ghost. Obiora went to the door, and as he opened the door, his eyes opened wide in shock. He rubbed his eyes to be sure that he wasn't dreaming. There before him stood his wife, Oma, the same Oma that had been confirmed dead. How is this possible? Oma came into the house and asked after her children. When they saw her, they were shocked as well, but she calmed them down and convinced them that she was the one. She told them to go and meet the friend she came with and that she would come and see them after she had finished speaking with their father. All the while, Obinna and Ego were looking at Oma, confused, scared, and shocked. Oma turned to them and said, "You fit each other perfectly well." Obiora and Ego looked at themselves. Oma continued, "I'm sure you must be wondering how come I'm still alive." By this time, Ego's heart had started pounding heavily. She knew she was in trouble. Oma spoke on. "Obiora, I have been nothing but a good and supportive wife to you. Even in your irresponsibility, I covered up for you. When people were telling me to leave you, I ignored them because I was praying that one day you will change. When you finally changed, or rather, pretended to change, I was happy and willing to support your fresh start. Little did I know that you were deceiving me so that you can extort from me to lavish on your girlfriend. Ah, Obiora, I guess your greedy girlfriend wanted more. And because she thought you were the one working for all the money you spent on her, she decided to kill me so that she can take my position." Oma then faced Ego. She asked her, "Are you satisfied now? I hope you enjoyed your rich husband, you greedy gold digger. You thought you could kill me. You planned with an assassin to pretend to be a customer so that he could kill me. What you did not know was that one of my very rich customers I have been good to found out about the assassination plots. The man you sent to kill me works for my rich customer, and so my customer paid him off and told him to go away very far. My customer told me to play along and pretend to be dead because my life was at risk and you might want to kill me again. I agreed and planted the cloth stained with blood and told the police the story of my death to confirm my death." At this point, Ego knelt down and started to cry with her hands on her head. Oma faced Obiora once more. "I watched for these months if you would have any conscience as to right your wrongs. But no, instead you went and sold off all my businesses. You and your greedy girlfriend lavished my money, and you had to subject my children to hawking on the streets. You opened the door for the devil's agent to come into our house and destroy everything. Obinna, you are worse than the devil, and you too must pay for everything you did to me. Obinna looked at Ego with tears in his eyes. He had no idea that Ego made his children to start hawking on the streets. He fell on the floor and joined Ego in begging, but Oma told them, "It's too late. The police is waiting outside to pick the two of you, and I hope that you both rot in jail." Obiora and Ego were arrested and taken to court. Ego was charged with attempted murder and child exploitation, while Obiora was charged with conspiracy to defraud. Obiora got 7 years imprisonment, while Ego was imprisoned for life. Oma reconciled with her children and started life afresh. She bared the pain of betrayal forever, and she finally learned her lesson to love and protect herself so that she can be alive for her children. Nobody can take care of my children the way I would. The moral of this story is that for every actions we take, there are consequences and we must face them. Most times, a cheating partner in a marriage does not know that he or she may be exposing the family to danger, as the person you are cheating with might want to kill your partner so as to have you for themselves. Therefore, be very careful so as not to invite the devil into your home. Also, irresponsibility and violence in marriage is very bad and it doesn't always end well. Thank you for watching. What moral lesson can you deduce from this story? Share with us in the comment section. Subscribe for more stories. Also, like and share to your loved ones. Till I bring another story your way. Bye.